Hello everyone, before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Now, there was a man named Mr. Grant who lived with his wife, Mrs. Grant, and their children in the city of Greenville, North Carolina. He worked for a government agency, and his wife supported the family as well. She was a teacher at a local school in the same city. The couple lived in harmony and were blessed with 6 children, 5 daughters and 1 son. The family grew in peace and stability, and everything seemed to be going just fine. Years passed, and one day, Mrs. Grant decided to retire from teaching and stay at home. At that time, 2 of their daughters were about to graduate from college. They had followed in their mother's footsteps, completed their education, and both found teaching jobs in different cities. The rest of the children, 4 daughters and their only son, were still living at home and focused on their studies, listening to their parents and respecting their guidance. With time, Mr. Grant managed to start his own business, which began generating a good income, especially as he was getting older and could no longer work like he used to. Around that period, their 3rd daughter graduated from college. But she had higher aspirations. She wanted to continue her studies in Washington State. She kept insisting, asking her father to let her go and pursue her dream. At first, both parents were hesitant. They didn't want her to be so far away. But when they saw how determined she was, they eventually agreed and helped her financially to make the move and continue her education abroad. Time went by, and everything was going smoothly. Then one day, some people came to ask for one of their daughters' hands in marriage. The parents welcomed them warmly. The marriage took place, and their daughter moved in with her husband in another city. Back home, their son Michael Grant and their eldest daughter Lisa Grant remained with them. Michael, in his late 20s, worked at a reputable company and earned a good salary. Financially, he was doing well. His older sister Lisa, aged 43, had long ruled out marriage. She was fully focused on her career. She worked as a teacher, leaving the house early every morning and returning by evening. She lived peacefully with her parents and her brother Michael. One evening, while Michael and Lisa were having dinner with their parents, he said, "I have some great news for you." His mother smiled and asked, "Is it something good, sweetheart?" He replied, "I met someone. I want to get married and start a family." His parents were overjoyed, and so was Lisa. She asked who the girl was and if she was from Greenville. Michael explained that the girl lived in a small rural town in North Carolina, far from the city. His parents were even happier, especially since their health had started to decline. This news brought them real joy. Michael asked his parents to go with him to propose. His father agreed right away. "Anytime you want, we'll go." But he also mentioned that Mrs. Grant was sick and couldn't handle the long trip. So he suggested calling their other daughters to come help. He and Michael would go with them to the proposal. Lisa chimed in, saying, "But who's going to stay with Mom? We can't leave her alone at home." Her father nodded. "You're right. You stay here with your mother, and I'll go with your sisters and Michael." And that's what happened. Mr. Grant called his 2 daughters who were working as teachers in different cities. They arrived on Friday, and their married sister came with her husband from a nearby area. Together, they all went with Michael to meet the girl's family. They were warmly welcomed by the girl's family. The proposal went smoothly, everyone took pictures, and both families agreed on a wedding date. After the celebration, Mr. Grant, his daughters, and Michael returned to Greenville and shared every detail with Mrs. Grant and Lisa, who had stayed home. They showed them the pictures and told them how beautiful and kind the bride was and how lovely her family seemed. The whole family was thrilled. Even the daughters sent the pictures to their sister Amanda Grant, who was studying in Washington, so she could share in their happiness. Everyone was looking forward to the wedding. On Sunday, the two teacher sisters decided to return to their cities to get ready for Monday. That left Michael and Lisa at home with their parents. That day, Lisa followed her usual routine. She had breakfast, then went out for her morning jog near the coast. She usually came back home around 11 or 12 noon. As always, she said goodbye to her sisters, who were getting ready to leave for their cities, and went out for a run. And just as we leave this family for a moment, we turn to a call that came into the police on that same day, Sunday at exactly 12 p.m. The caller told the police that he had found a woman sitting in her car, her head slumped over the steering wheel, with visible traces of blood. The police arrived immediately at the scene, and the report turned out to be accurate. They discovered a woman inside her car who had suffered a sharp force trauma to the neck from what appeared to be a bladed weapon. Tragically, she was already deceased. They notified the district attorney's office, and detectives from the homicide division, along with the forensic team, took over right away. The crime scene was a parking lot, and the victim was found inside her car. Bloodstains were clearly visible on the front side of the driver's door. Investigators concluded that the assailant had been sitting next to the victim inside the vehicle, ambushed her with a sudden strike, then opened the door with blood-covered hands and fled. What puzzled the police was that robbery didn't seem to be the motive. Her purse was still beside her, with her cash, phone, and jewelry untouched. They found the victim's ID card inside her purse. To their surprise, the name on it was Lisa Grant, the woman who had gone out that morning for her routine jog in fresh air. When the police retrieved her cell phone and started going through the contact list, they found a number saved as "My Brother Michael." They dialed it. Michael Grant answered, surprised by the unknown number. The officer on the line asked, "Hello, is this the brother of Lisa Grant?" Michael responded, "Yes, I'm her brother." "Who is this?" "This is the Greenville Police Department. We found your sister in a parking lot. She's in critical condition. We need you to come to the scene immediately." Michael was stunned. He didn't know how to react. His mind raced. He didn't want to alarm his parents, especially since Mrs. Grant was very ill and couldn't take a shock like this. It could kill her. He decided to go alone to find out what was really going on before saying anything to his family. Michael drove straight to the location given by the officers. When he arrived, he saw police cars and yellow crime scene tape cordoning off the area. His sister's car was unmistakable. Nearby, a coroner's van was parked. The scene was devastating. Michael started shouting, begging the officers to tell him the truth. He tried to cross the tape, but the police stopped him. He couldn't contain himself. Investigators finished processing the crime scene. Forensic experts thoroughly examined the car and surrounding area. After receiving permission from the district attorney, the body was transported to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy. The police interviewed the man who reported the incident, a parking lot attendant. He told them the car had been parked there since early morning, with the woman sitting inside, her head resting on the steering wheel. At first, he thought she was just tired, maybe asleep after a long trip. But as time passed and she didn't move, he became concerned and walked over. I got closer and called out to her, but she didn't respond. I thought she might have fainted or something. But when I looked through the window, I saw the blood. I got scared and called you right away." Police confirmed his story, verified his schedule and movements, recorded his statement, and released him. Meanwhile, Michael was still in complete shock, waiting for the detectives to explain what had happened. He called his sisters and told them, with a trembling voice, that Lisa had been murdered. All of them were on their way back to their cities for work, but upon hearing the horrific news, they immediately turned back to Greenville. Even the married sister, who lived farther away, rushed home. As for the parents, Mr. and Mrs. Grant still had no idea what had happened. Mr. Grant was still at home waiting, and Mrs. Grant's fragile health made it impossible to break the news just yet. The police officially launched their investigation. One detective asked Michael, "When was the last time you saw your sister?" He replied, "This morning. We had breakfast together. Then she told us she was going out for a short run to get some fresh air. I stayed home with my parents. Did you notice anything strange? Was she upset or worried about something?" "No, not really. But she did seem in a hurry, like she had some kind of appointment." Lisa Grant's phone had been ringing during breakfast, and even as she was leaving the house, which caught the investigators' attention. The detectives asked Michael, "Was your sister working?" He answered, "Yes, she was a teacher at a local school." Then they asked, "Did she have any enemies or conflicts with anyone?" Michael assured them that his sister had never had any fights with anyone. By nature, she was calm, private, and not very social, always focused on her work and personal life, and didn't mix with people much. The police gathered every piece of information they could from Michael. They also asked if he was married. He told them he had just gotten engaged this past Friday, when he went with his father and sisters to propose to a young woman. They asked, "Was Lisa with you?" "No, she stayed home with our mother, who's very ill. She took care of her while we were away." The police continued questioning Michael, especially about who else lived in the house. He told them it was just him, his parents, and Lisa, the victim. But eventually, the detectives needed to interview the parents as well, which deeply worried Michael. He pleaded, "Please, don't tell my mother yet. Her health is too fragile, she can't handle something like this." One of the officers responded gently, "We understand. But interviewing the parents is a legal procedure. We'll do our best to be sensitive about it." The investigators asked Michael to provide phone numbers for his 3 sisters, the 2 teachers, and the one who was married. All of them arrived quickly, except for Amanda, the sister who was still in Washington completing her studies. The sisters were devastated. When they arrived at the family home in Greenville, they couldn't hide the heartbreak on their faces. That immediately made the parents suspicious. Mr. Grant and Mrs. Grant began pressing them with questions until they had no choice but to tell the truth. Both parents were overwhelmed with grief, but Mrs. Grant, in particular, went into deep shock. Her fragile heart couldn't take the pain. The 3 sisters headed to the police station, completely broken. They wanted to know every detail about what had happened. Detectives interviewed each one of them separately. They explained that on Sunday morning, they had left Greenville to return to the cities where they worked. But midway through their trips, Michael had called and told them about Lisa's murder, so they turned back immediately. They confirmed that they had all attended Michael's engagement on Friday evening, and that on Sunday morning, each had gone her separate way, while Lisa stayed home with their mother. One of the sisters said, "Lisa's phone kept ringing that morning, again and again. But no one answered." But strangely, when the police examined Lisa's phone, there was no record of any calls received that morning. That's when things started to get even more mysterious. The detective asked, "Are you sure her phone rang this morning?" Everyone, including Michael, confirmed. "Yes. Absolutely. We heard it ring multiple times. It was loud and clear." This inconsistency pushed the police to send the phone for technical analysis. Sunday passed entirely with questioning and investigation. On the following Monday morning, detectives from the Greenville Homicide Division visited the school where Lisa Grant had worked, trying to gather background information, while the medical examiner's report was nearing completion. It would shed light on the details of the murder. The forensic examiner finally released his findings. The victim's name is Lisa Grant, age 43. Preliminary examination shows that she suffered a single stab wound directly to the chest, specifically near the heart. The wound was inflicted with a medium-sized sharp object, most likely a pocket knife or similar blade. Judging by the angle of penetration and depth of the wound, it appears the strike was quick, forceful, and direct, severely damaging cardiac tissue and causing massive internal bleeding around the heart. He continued. There were no defensive wounds on her hands or arms, which indicates she didn't react or defend herself, meaning she never saw it coming. Toxicology reports found no drugs or foreign substances, suggesting she was fully conscious at the time of the attack. We also collected samples from under her fingernails but found no foreign skin cells, further supporting the theory of a sneak attack. One strike was all it took. It ended her life instantly. And now, the haunting question remains. Who killed Lisa Grant, and why? Everyone who spoke about her, neighbors, colleagues, even extended family, said the same thing. She was kind, respectful, quiet, a bit reserved. She went from home to work and back, didn't have enemies, didn't stir up conflict. From home to work, work to home, this phrase was repeated by everyone, without exception. No one even hinted at the possibility that Lisa might have been seeing someone secretly, someone who could have done this. Still, the police weren't ruling anything out, no matter how convincing the testimony sounded. Even those closest to her used to joke that she was so private, she probably knew what you were thinking before you said it. The investigation moved on to field interviews. As mentioned, the school staff, every single one, was questioned. Detectives met with all of them, and not one offered any useful information. They all repeated the same thing. Lisa just came in, taught her classes, and left. She kept to herself. We never saw her argue with anyone. Police also interviewed Mr. Grant, the victim's father. He was visibly shaken. It was his eldest daughter, after all. The session was kept short due to his age and fragile condition. His statement was taken, and he was allowed to go. As for Mrs. Grant, the tragedy was simply too much. She went into such deep shock that she had to be hospitalized. And sadly, she passed away not long after. One of the detectives told Michael, "We've now spoken with everyone in the family and everyone who knew Lisa, except your sister who lives in Washington." Michael replied, "She reached out to me just last night. I told her everything. She's devastated too. She told me this morning she's making arrangements to come here as soon as possible." Meanwhile, police were still waiting on the technical analysis of Lisa's phone, as well as call records from the telecom provider. There was a strong suspicion that someone had deleted her call history. That would explain why there were no incoming calls listed on the morning of the murder, even though her siblings and father swore they had tried calling her. If true, it meant the killer may have intentionally erased the phone records. The next day, Amanda Grant, Lisa's sister who had been studying in Washington, arrived in Greenville and went straight to the police department to give her statement, just like everyone else. Although detectives didn't expect much from her due to the geographic distance, what she said caught their attention. "Lisa and I were very close," she told them. "We spoke often, even late at night. And I have something important to tell you." "Go ahead," the detective said. "Tell us everything." She said, "On Saturday night, Lisa called me. She sounded incredibly upset. I could tell from her voice, something had shaken her. She told me she had discovered something shocking. I asked her, what was it? She told me that on Saturday morning, she went to work and decided to share some pictures from Michael's engagement with her coworkers. Although she was usually a private person, she was so happy that she couldn't keep it to herself, especially since she had been working with these people for 2 years and felt closer to them than even some family members. Everyone congratulated her and wished Michael the best, except the school bus driver, Ben Carter. The moment he saw the photos, his face changed completely. He waited until she was alone after work, then came up to her and said, "I'm sorry, but I have to tell you something. I'm not trying to be nosy, but I can't keep quiet about this." Lisa told him, "Go ahead." "What is it?" "The girl in that photo, Michael's fiancée, is not who you think she is. I'm ashamed to say this, but I know what she's been up to." Lisa was shocked. "That can't be." "Michael met her, we went to her house with our father. Her family was lovely. You must be confusing her with someone else." "No, I'm sure. I have her number. If you want, I can call her right now and prove it. That woman is not right for your brother. I'm telling you this because my conscience won't let me stay silent." Lisa went home disturbed and afraid for Michael. She worried that he was getting too close to someone who might hurt him. She called Amanda, her sister in Washington, and told her everything. Amanda said, "When morning comes, just tell Michael the truth. He needs to know before it's too late." But Lisa couldn't do it. She couldn't face her brother with something so heavy. Instead, she decided to call the fiancé directly, using the number Ben Carter had given her. She said, "I'm Michael's sister. I know what you've been doing. That's why I'm calling, to ask you to leave my brother alone." The young woman on the phone broke down crying. "Please," she said. "Don't tell him. Don't tell your parents. I'll end the engagement. I'll stay away from him, just please don't destroy how his family sees me." Lisa felt a bit of relief. She told Amanda, "It's over. It's like pulling out a thorn, no pain, no mess. It's done." But that same night, Lisa called Amanda again. The girl had called her back, crying harder than before, begging to meet in person. She said she had something important to say, something critical, and she promised she would leave Michael alone forever after they talked. That was the last conversation Amanda ever had with her sister. The police asked, "Why would your sister agree to meet someone she didn't really know?" Amanda replied, "I told her not to. I told her not to meet up with her. But Lisa, she was too kind. She told me the girl sounded sincere. She said it was probably something about Michael. She just wanted to hear what she had to say. That's what she told me, word for word." At that moment, the police dispatched officers to find Ben Carter, the school bus driver who had warned Lisa, and sent another team, accompanied by Michael, to the rural town in North Carolina where his fiancée lived with her family. They brought the young woman and her family in for questioning. First, the police sat down with Ben Carter. They asked him, "Did you tell Lisa Grant that Michael's fiancée was involved in multiple inappropriate relationships, and that you knew her personally?" Ben nodded. "Yes, sir. That's exactly what I told her. I did it because I respect that family, Lisa, Michael, and their parents. That girl? She's been putting on an act. I've seen who she really is. So I had to tell the truth." Police reviewed his daily route logs, confirmed his movements, documented his statement, and released him. Just before interviewing Michael's fiancée and her family, the detectives received the forensic fingerprint report. The results were chilling. Identical fingerprints were found on the passenger side door handle of Lisa's car, exactly where the killer would have exited. Those same prints were also found on Lisa's phone, which had been removed from her purse and clearly tampered with. This confirmed that the killer had opened the purse, accessed the phone, and deleted her call history after committing the murder. The attacker wore no gloves. No effort was made to cover their tracks. When they ran the fingerprints through the database, they made a shocking discovery. The prints belonged to a man with a long criminal history: assault, domestic violence, substance abuse. And worst of all, he was already wanted under an active warrant. But what stunned detectives even more was that the address on file for the suspect was the same address as Michael's fiancée. And the man in question was her brother. While the Greenville Police Department was raiding the family's home to find the suspect, they found no trace of him. He was known to disappear for days at a time, often hiding out in abandoned trailers or with people who owed him favors. He didn't own a car, not even a registered bike, making him almost impossible to track. Detectives turned to Emily Dawson, Michael's fiancée. "We know you and your brother are involved in this murder," one of the detectives told her bluntly. "It's better for you to confess now than waste our time." But Emily denied everything. "Why didn't you call Lisa on Sunday morning?" they asked. "She told her sister in Washington that she had plans to meet you." Emily paused, then replied flatly, "I didn't call her." But the detectives already had telecom data from the phone companies. They'd found a call from Emily's phone to Lisa's, placed on Sunday morning, shortly before Lisa was killed. They confronted her with the evidence. "The call happened. We have the records. We also have your brother's fingerprints all over Lisa's car, and on her phone, which someone used to delete the call log. Your brother didn't wear gloves. His prints were everywhere." Emily's face turned pale. She stammered, That's not possible." The investigators didn't back down. They demanded to know where her brother was hiding. She shook her head. "I don't know," she said, trembling. But they pressed harder. After hours of relentless questioning, Emily cracked. Through tears, she confessed, "I told my brother to kill Lisa. I was desperate. I take care of 10 people in my family, my mom, dad, and all my addicted siblings. My father and older brother used to come home drunk, beat me, spit on me. I finally ran away. I had nowhere to go. I lived on the street. I got involved in things I'm not proud of. But when I started earning money, even if it was dirty money, I felt free, for the first time in years. Still, I hated myself." She wiped her eyes and continued. "Then I met Michael. He was kind, well off, drove a nice car. I didn't plan to fall for him, but I saw a future. And when he proposed, and brought his family over, I made sure mine acted like saints. They wore clean clothes, sat properly, answered questions politely. I thought, this is my chance to escape all of them." Emily looked up, her voice shaking. "He said the wedding would be next month. I was finally getting out. So I tried to change my life. I swore I'd never go back to what I was." But then her face darkened. "But Lisa," she dug into my past. "She found out what I used to do. She texted me, said she knew who I really was. She didn't tell Michael, but she could have, at any time. I hated her for that. I couldn't let her ruin everything. So I decided to get rid of her, without dirtying my hands." Emily said she called Michael, pretending nothing was wrong. He sounded normal. That meant Lisa hadn't told him anything. so I told him I'd like to meet him near the parking lot we used to walk by. But instead of going, I went to my brother. I told him the whole thing, and I offered him money. He laughed and said, "Say no more." And he went. And he killed her. When detectives confronted Emily's brother, he continued to deny everything, until they told him about Emily's confession. Realizing he had no escape, he finally said, "Yeah, I killed her. I'm an addict. I needed the cash. My sister said she'd pay me, so I did it." Just like that. The detectives asked him, "How did you kill her?" He replied, "I was watching her until I saw her get into her car in the parking lot. It was very early in the morning, and the area was completely empty. I knew it was the right moment. I hid my pocket knife and approached her. I told her, 'I'm the brother of the girl Michael is engaged to.' She couldn't come, but I know exactly what message she wanted to tell you, and you need to hear it." The victim seemed hesitant, but I kept talking to gain her trust. Since she agreed to meet with my sister, whom she didn't know, I knew she was very naive. He added, "I asked, 'Can I get in and talk to you?' She stayed silent like she was unsure. I said, 'It's okay, no problem,' then pretended to walk away. But she called me back and opened the car door. I got in and kept talking until she relaxed a bit, so I could stab her suddenly. I picked the perfect moment, pulled out my pocket knife without her noticing, and stabbed her hard in the chest. After that, I deleted the call logs between me and my sister and ran away. I didn't expect to be found, especially since I hadn't updated my ID card with my new address. That's the whole story, sir." After his confession, the police confronted him with all the evidence. All the evidence, fingerprint reports, phone records, was submitted to the court. Both the suspect and his sister confessed everything to the judge, and the case was sent to trial. After the trial, the verdict was issued. The suspect was sentenced to life imprisonment for premeditated murder, aggravated robbery, assault, drug addiction, and other charges. His sister was sentenced to 15 years in prison for inciting premeditated murder. Since the victim was the fiancée of the accused, the case caused a huge shock in public opinion, and truly became a ring of fire. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, there's more exciting content coming soon, God willing. Stay safe, and may God bless you all, brothers and sisters.